What would you do differently about your major record label experience now that you know what you know?
Well, I probably wouldn't sign a major. I wouldn't sign with a. I don't know if I ever want to sign with a record company again. It's kind of like once you get a big divorce, do you want to get married again? But I'd rather just go get a small business loan and go read all my favorite records and hire all the guys that played there and hire those producers and do it myself.
Which is what you're doing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I realize that I have the benefit of having met all these people and watched it done, and so, you know, I signed that deal because I didn't know anything about making records, and I wouldn't, if I sat here listening to myself talk then I don't know if I'd have believed myself. I don't know. It's so hard to describe because it's hard to look back on an experience that takes up that much of your life, and you know, your own artwork, and it means it's so much a part of you, and it's hard to regret the experiences, or you know, regret something you've spent a lot of time doing, but you can regret parts of it. So what would I do differently? I would just be a lot more. I would realize that the thing that I wanted to do the most was make music, and so I would set my goals and my agenda. I didn't have clear goals, and I didn't have a clear agenda past wanting to be a good songwriter and work with really good people that I respected. I didn't have more of a vision of a career. I didn't particularly care about being famous. I didn't particularly care about making a lot of money. I was very obsessed with wanting to make records, and I hear these people were going to give me a lot of money, and I thought, you know, and you know, so I guess I would stay away from anything that looks too good to be true.
I always tell people when they ask about record deals, and maybe you agree with this, maybe you don't, but the more that you bring to the table, major, indie, or whatever, the less they can take away.
Yeah, don't look for them to build you, because they're not going to. They're not set up to do that. They don't really. I mean, some labels do. I know all labels are not like Capitol Records or Major or Atlantic Records or big, huge, monolithic, you know, companies. And I know that there are record labels out there that are good record labels that great people make great music on, and you know, it's just there's so much work you have to do yourself, and don't worry about being too old to do something. I mean, this is like the cult of youth that we all live in and sort of deal with. You know, I got out to Los Angeles at 23, and they told me I was too old. I had, you know, 50-year-old men telling me I was too old, and I was like, well, too old for what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm a songwriter. I mean, well, how am I too old? My favorite songwriters are almost 70 now, so what's that got to do with anything? So just don't feel like, you know, if you're going to make music, let it be something that you do for your whole life, and therefore you have the time to. You really have a lot of time. Don't feel rushed. Don't feel like you got to get this now. You got to do it before don't make up some age, or I got to do it before I'm this age or that age. Just lay back.